Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Female Szn Podcast, where we embrace growth, confidence, and the journey of becoming our best selves together. I'm your host, Ari Bryant. So, today we're diving into something many of us say quietly to ourselves, which is just, I'm just lazy. But what if that's not true? What if procrastination isn't laziness, it's emotional overload, perfectionism, fear, or even a brain wiring issue? So here's something personal. I've always been that person who was sharp, on my toes, always doing something. But lately, I find myself sitting, doing nothing, and despite a long to-do list glaring at me, it's so much that I just freeze, I guess. And if you felt that, you're in good company, so let's look deeper. So I want to talk a little bit more about my story, which is that I used to wear productivity on my sleeve. Like, it was like a badge. Like, I was that girl. Checklists, multiple side projects, constant motion. But then I just noticed something odd. Like, the more I had to do, the less I actually did. So instead of me starting, I'd open my list, 10, 12 different things on my to-do list, and I would feel overwhelmed. My brain said, where do I even begin? So I think with me and my list, I would write down things that I need to complete. I tried to prioritize the different tasks, but it felt like nothing was really more urgent than the other. It's just things that I needed to complete. So I just felt overwhelmed. I would, just sit there. I would get on my phone. Next thing you know, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I open emails. I get distracted. Hours would pass. So I stopped calling it laziness. I realized it felt more like fear. Like, what if I mess up? What if this doesn't count? What if the finish line isn't enough? Or perfectionism. The list had to be done well, not just done. And emotional overload, because my brain just had too many tabs open. That's when I started reading the research. So I always like to back up everything with research and just to learn for myself as well, because I want to get answers to why I am the way I am. So first, there was a study in 2023 that found that procrastinators show stronger temporal discounting of effort, meaning that their brains discount or devalue the future effort required. So in other words, when effort feels far away, we delay. It could be weak executive control. So studies show procrastination correlates with reduced activity in the anterior cingulate cortex, which is ACC, and other brain areas linked to self-control and error processing. It could be perfectionism and self-esteem. So research demonstrates self-oriented perfectionism and low self-esteem both strongly predict higher procrastination. So in one study, procrastination was negatively correlated with self-esteem and positively with perfectionism. It could be present bias or limbic versus prefrontal cortex. So our limbic system, which is, seeking reward or avoiding discomfort, often overrides in prefrontal cortex, which is planning and long-term thinking. That battle equals procrastination. So you see, procrastination isn't laziness. It's your brain, your emotions, your story converging in a task list freeze. I think that it hits women harder because we often tie productivity with worth. If I'm not producing, I'm not valuable. We carry expectations to do the job, handle the family, maintain the home, keep up socially. And when the list is long, the pressure multiplies. So If you add perfectionism to that, it must be done well, plus fear of visibility or being judged. And what do you get? Your brain says, better not start than to do it imperfectly. And you end up doing nothing. So I felt that, and I want you to know the way you freeze is not failure. It's just being overwhelmed. So there are ways you can break the cycle. I have a few practical research backed up steps to move forward if this is you. And this is what I'm going to apply to myself as well. So I would say split and simplify your list. Break big goals into micro tasks. Smaller steps reduce the brain's effort cost and help override temporal discounting. I realize that, after you work all day and you're in traffic 3+ hours like me, I come home and I got a list of 12 things or 15 things. I don't have time for that. I don't. Why am I waiting when I'm most overwhelmed to have this long list of things I need to do? It don't make sense. So let's break it down and just simplify it. That's the first step. Also, next step, time box the task. So set a timer for 10 or 15 minutes and just start. I think momentum often follows motion. Another option, or another step, I will say, lower the stakes. So give yourself permission to do it imperfectly. The need for perfect stops the start. That's very much me. I like things to be a certain way. And it bothers me when it's not a certain way because it's like, I need to be good. I don't need to be good. I need to be perfect or great. But I need to slow it down a little bit and say, it's okay if it's not perfect. That's a part of life. The next step, notice emotional cues. So when you feel heavy, ask, am I afraid of failing or am I overwhelmed? Am I avoiding discomfort? Awareness reduces the power of fear. Something else you can do is anchor to self-care. Rest isn't optional. If you're emotionally overloaded, no to-do list is going to land well. So starting isn't finishing. Mark the start. Acknowledging that builds self-awareness and, it really helps over time. Let's practice this together this week and pick one long-standing task that you're avoiding. Break it down into tiny steps or 2 tiny steps, however you feel is best. And just choose one step and commit 10 minutes to it. I want to thank you for showing up today. If you felt frozen despite having work to do, know this. You're not lazy. You're emotionally overloaded, perfection struck, or mentally scattered. And from here, you can shift. You always can change. You always can grow. It's never not an option, So this episode resonated with you. I'd love for you to share with a friend who might be carrying their own to-do list freeze. Feel free to message me or email me with any questions. And until next time, may you honor your pace, split your tasks, and begin again.